talking to all the analysts and the pundits and the reporters and everybody else in between out there. You don't get to dictate for the paying audience what they like and what they dislike. I could make the argument that the fact that this stuff has been politicized, because it clearly has been, and people are forced to take sides, is something that's working to the benefit of the WNBA, because we're talking about the WNBA more than we ever have.
That's a good point. We are talking about the league more than we ever have. Is this a case of all publicity is good publicity?
Also, picking up from Stephen A's earlier comments, welcome back to the Clark Update. WNBA fans are buzzing after a dramatic new narrative began circulating around Stephen A. Smith, the Indiana Fever, Caitlin Clark, Sophie Cunningham, and the league itself. But what did Stephen A. actually say? What parts of this story are confirmed? And how much of the chaos comes from speculation spreading across social media? That distinction matters because the claims being repeated are enormous. Some fans believe something serious is unfolding behind closed doors, while others think the story has been exaggerated far beyond the available evidence. Either way, the controversy has exploded across the WNBA conversation, and today we're breaking down where the claims came from, why Sophie Cunningham has suddenly become such a major part of the debate, and why Stephen A. Smith's name is now at the center of it. Let's get straight into everything that has WNBA fans talking. If you thought the WNBA drama had already reached maximum intensity, the latest wave of speculation has pushed the conversation into completely different territory. This is no longer just another argument over a hard foul, a heated press conference, or tension between players. Online discussion has turned into allegations of internal conflict involving powerful figures around the league, with Sophie Cunningham suddenly positioned at the center of the storm. Over the last couple of days, rumors have circulated about private conversations among influential WNBA decision-makers, but no credible public evidence has established that owners secretly agreed to permanently remove Cunningham from the league. That hasn't stopped the story from spreading. Stephen A. Smith's commentary added even more fuel because fans interpreted his frustration with league leadership as evidence that something deeper might be happening. Social media immediately took those comments and pushed them into explosive territory, with some accounts claiming confidential recordings, emergency meetings, contract retaliation, and even a potential commissioner departure. Those claims remain unverified, and that is important to make clear. What is real is the level of distrust now surrounding the WNBA conversation. Sophie Cunningham has become one of the league's most outspoken personalities. Caitlin Clark remains the biggest attention magnet in women's basketball, and every dispute involving officiating, leadership, or player treatment now gets magnified instantly. That environment is exactly why one provocative television segment can explode into a league-wide controversy within hours. Before we continue, if you enjoy WNBA breakdowns like this, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. A huge percentage of viewers still watch without subscribing, and your support helps us keep covering every major development. Now let's get back into it.
About it, I don't believe Sophie Cunningham will be with the Fever next year. I said this before. I didn't think she was going to be there this year because of the bad press. Now, everything that Sophie Cunningham did this year put the Indiana Fever and the entire league on notice. I'm sticking by it. I think they're going to try to Colin Kaepernick her, bro. I really do. It goes on to say the 30-year-old guard who joined the Fever in 2025 after 6 years with the Phoenix Mercury signed a one-year deal for 2026 that ends soon, fueling speculation about her exit. Her summer ESPN comments wanting to protect young girls from competing against biological men, which she called common sense, drew cheers from spectators and boos at games. Backers highlights her three-point shooting, enforcer style, and broad apparel, arguing the WNBA needs her more than she needs it amid rumors tied to her views. Yes, Sophie Cunningham, whether they like this or not, the pub that Sophie...
To understand why Stephen A. Smith became such a major part of this story, you have to look at the position he has occupied throughout the recent WNBA debates. For weeks, Stephen A. has tried to balance multiple sides of the conversation, criticizing certain decisions while also defending players, executives, and the league when he believed the criticism went too far. That became especially noticeable during arguments involving former NBA player ENE's Cantor Freedom, who has publicly criticized elements of the WNBA and accused league leadership of hypocrisy and double standards. Stephen A. often approached those debates more cautiously, sometimes pushing back against the most extreme accusations while still acknowledging that the league has legitimate problems. That careful position is one reason fans reacted so strongly when his tone appeared to become more aggressive. Online accounts began claiming that Stephen A.'s production team had obtained some kind of confidential internal audio or memo connected to Sophie Cunningham, but there has been no publicly authenticated recording proving such a leak occurred. Still, the rumor spread because it fit an existing narrative among frustrated fans who already believe outspoken players are treated differently depending on whom they criticize. Cunningham has never been shy about speaking her mind, and that willingness to address officiating, player safety, league decisions, and controversial moments has made her popular with one segment of the audience and polarizing with another. The more openly she speaks, the easier it becomes for fans to imagine that powerful people inside the league might dislike what she is saying. That does not automatically mean there is a coordinated campaign against her, but it explains why the allegation caught fire so quickly. In a league already dealing with arguments over officiating, media coverage, star treatment, physical play, and massive attention around Caitlin Clark, Sophie's outspoken style has turned her into a symbol for fans who believe players should be able to challenge the system without fear of retaliation.
T-shirts during overtime and told us we had to leave.
And this is for the girl.
Or cover our shirts up. This just happened.
It's crazy, right? It's totally crazy. That's the mother and daughter team that just the other day were kicked out of the game in Atlanta. It turns out they paid like $1,000 for their tickets, which everybody was like, oh my God, $1,000 for a WNBA ticket? Like that in and of itself is shocking. And then they get kicked out because they're wearing XX and XY. Just like Cantor was kicked out of the game last night because he was wearing a woman and what she is, the definition of a woman. And it's so funny to me. It's so weird that this is becoming such a big thing. Like, honestly, you really have to make that big a deal of it? Apparently they do. There is a school of thought there that is like uber progressive and uber crazy in the athletic world and embodied by so many of these people that are in the WNBA. And they don't like what Sophie represents for a whole lot of reasons, right? Same thing with Caitlin Clark. You know the drill on that. And then you get, the Megan Rapinoe's of the world even, that it feels so inclined to weigh in on this too. Like, Megan, really? Didn't you play like a bunch of 15-year-old boys and they whipped your you-know-what pretty darn fast? Like, you can't play against men, Megan. Like, what are you thinking?
I want to.
The most explosive version of the story claims that influential WNBA owners held a private conference call and discussed ways to punish Sophie Cunningham for publicly challenging the league. Some social media posts went even further, alleging that the goal was not a normal suspension, but an attempt to damage her contract, endorsements, and future in professional basketball. Again, no verified documentation has been produced publicly to establish that such a plan exists. But the accusation itself has become powerful because it speaks directly to a concern many sports fans already have. How much freedom should athletes have to criticize the organizations that employ them? Stephen A. Smith's broader criticism of league leadership has been interpreted by some viewers as him accusing executives of trying to silence dissent, even though the most sensational claims spreading online go well beyond what has been publicly verified. That difference is crucial. There is a huge gap between criticizing a league for poor leadership and proving that owners secretly coordinated to destroy a player's career. Still, the emotional impact of the rumor has already landed. Fans supporting Cunningham argue that disciplining a player simply for expressing uncomfortable opinions would contradict everything the WNBA says about empowering women and protecting athlete voices. Critics, meanwhile, argue that viral accounts are turning ordinary disputes into conspiracy narratives without evidence. That battle between confirmed information and explosive speculation is now driving the entire conversation. And when the commissioner's name was dragged into the story, things became even more chaotic.
wake up and say, I'm a female and I want to participate in the NBA according to the letter of the language of the law, you can actually get away with it. And that needs to be clarified. Clearly, that's a political position to take. And I think on one hand, Enes Kanter was very wrong. It was a classless thing for him to do.
Well, I don't even think it's a political issue. That's the craziest part. It's not a political issue. It's a common sense issue. The WNBA, they maybe have turned it into a political issue because they refuse to use basic logic and anatomy. But it's not really a political issue. Or it shouldn't at least be a political issue. Maybe that's a better way to put it. It shouldn't be a political issue because it's common sense. But it's a political issue because those who are delusional have been catered to for far too long. So now they're believing their own delusions, and common sense needs to step in every now and then and just smack you over the head.
Because it's not, the ladies that are playing don't have anything to do with this. The league does. Its collective bargaining agreement may be the case. The liberal tilt that it has might be a cause or a cause effect to some degree. I get all of that, but the actual ladies that are involved, they have nothing to do with this, and they don't deserve to be agitated the way he clearly was willing to do in attendance at the game. It wasn't just about him standing, but he was just about to step to her. You got no business doing that.
He was just about to step to. You don't believe that, Stephen A, do you? You don't believe that, Stephen A. She ran across the entire court. She went from one side of the court to the other side of the court to get into his face. You don't believe he was going to step on the court, do you?
The reaction from fans was immediate once Stephen A. Smith's comments began circulating alongside those allegations. Social media filled with threats of boycotts, angry posts demanding accountability, and calls for sponsors to pressure the league. But another dramatic claim quickly appeared: that Commissioner Kathy Engelbert had become so frustrated with internal conflict that she stormed into a Board of Governors meeting, threw down her keys, and announced that she was leaving the WNBA. There is currently no credible public confirmation supporting that dramatic version of events. Claims that Engelbert suddenly resigned or abandoned the league should therefore be treated as rumor unless the WNBA, Engelbert herself, or reliable reporting confirms it. What the rumor does reveal, however, is how little confidence some fans currently have in the league's leadership. People are willing to believe a commissioner could suddenly walk away because they already see the WNBA as an organization dealing with pressure from exploding viewership, controversial officiating, star-driven attention, player disputes, and constant cultural battles surrounding Caitlin Clark and other high-profile names. Whether Engelbert remains firmly in control or faces legitimate pressure from owners, the perception of instability has become a story of its own. And once fans begin believing that leadership is fractured, virtually every decision is interpreted through that lens.
She she sprints down across the other side of the court, barking at him, losing her mind. She needs a sedative.
Deserve that. Not the ladies actually playing. They don't deserve that. And all of us, as American citizens, as human beings, find ourselves caught up in a political system that has purview and dominion over us as citizens of a society. If anybody knows that, it's Enes Kanter freedom, because of his history with Turkey.
So you think he'd understand the importance of speaking out, huh, Stephen A? Right? Right, Stephen A? You'd think he'd understand the importance of going through this whole entire song and dance so we don't get to a level that he thinks that we could possibly get to. You think he'd understand that, wouldn't you, Stephen A, right? You'd say he's an expert in this, has some experience, been down this road before, understands the song and dance. Gotcha.
That's where he's from. That's where his family is from. This man was in fear of his life. I interviewed him. I heard his story. And the courage that he showed in speaking out against the Turkish government, against China, and putting himself in that lion's den. Because of his past political history, he should be applauded. Not to mention the fact that taking a political position is consistent with who he has been. Perfectly understandable. Got it.
Oh, so this is nothing new, you're saying? So your issue is just that it happened in the WNBA? What exactly is your issue, Stephen A? Like, you're doing a lot of complaining right now, but what exactly is your issue? The fact that he showed up to the game? Is that your issue? The fact that he was wearing a t-shirt, is that the problem? You want him to take his shirt off, Stephen A? What's your problem?
Think about what that means for the WNBA moving forward. If the league were genuinely dealing with a leadership crisis in the middle of the season, the consequences would be enormous. But there is an important distinction between a confirmed institutional collapse and the perception of one created through viral commentary. At this moment, the dramatic claims about a commissioner resignation, an owner-led conspiracy, and a permanent ban targeting Sophie Cunningham have not been publicly proven. What absolutely is happening is a serious credibility battle. The WNBA has spent years presenting itself as a league that supports athlete empowerment, encourages strong voices, and protects players who speak about issues they care about. That is why any suggestion that an outspoken player could face retaliation immediately generates outrage. Stephen A. Smith has become increasingly willing to criticize parts of the WNBA ecosystem, and ENE's Cantor Freedom's supporters are using the controversy as evidence that some of his criticisms deserve more attention. Sophie Cunningham, meanwhile, remains at the center of speculation because her outspoken personality makes her an easy figure for fans to rally around. If the league ever actually attempted to punish her solely for expressing legitimate opinions, the backlash could be massive. On the other hand, if the viral allegations turn out to be exaggerated or completely unsupported, that raises another problem. Misinformation can damage players, executives, and the league before the facts ever catch up. Either way, the WNBA is facing pressure to communicate clearly, because silence creates a vacuum, and that vacuum gets filled instantly with rumors. The league needs transparency, the fans want answers, and every hour without clarity allows the most dramatic version of the story to spread even further.
Left-wing media and WNBA sources are now saying Sophie Cunningham might be released from her team at the end of the season. Her future is subtly in doubt. Interesting. Does anyone seriously doubt this isn't because of her supporting women's sports? Now, this is the scene that has been happening at a lot of these games. Let's watch. So as you guys can see here, this is the Indiana Fever, man. Look at Caitlin. Caitlin did this. This was at the Atlanta Dream game. Caitlin did this before. She didn't have her hand on her heart. Now, I'm not saying I'm going to sit here and nitpick Caitlin for her political views, but this looks spooky, CC. This looks spooky. Goes on to say sources within WNBA are now saying the league plans to release Sophie Cunningham in the offseason as effectively banish her from playing in the WNBA ever again. What did I tell y'all? They finna Colin Kaepernick Sophie. I knew it. Ain't no team gonna sign her. So I believe the Fever are going to release her. No doubt about it. Here's the thing. I don't believe another team is going to sign Sophie, guys. I really don't. And I believe she's going to be the new Colin Kaepernick, bro. Something 80% of Americans agree. If the WNBA engages in the obvious form of discrimination, then the Department of Justice will be forced to step in. Yes, intervene. This is going to turn into a very, very bad situation. This might be the biggest story of the WNBA.
Stephen A. Smith's name is now tied directly to one of the loudest WNBA debates online, and fans are not going to stop asking questions. But instead of pretending every viral allegation has already been proven, the bigger issue is whether the league can restore trust and address the genuine concerns underneath the controversy. Do you believe Sophie Cunningham has been treated unfairly for being outspoken, or do you think social media has transformed normal league tension into an unsupported conspiracy? Do you believe Kathy Engelbert and WNBA ownership need to communicate more openly about what is happening behind the scenes? And has Stephen A. Smith been right to increase his criticism of the league, or has the conversation gone too far? Drop your opinion in the comments, because this debate is only getting louder. If new verified information emerges, we'll break down exactly what is confirmed and what is not. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next major WNBA development. I'll see you in the next explosive update if you continue to prolong the queue.